اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق.
Welcome to our 30-part Ramadan series on wisdom to feed the soul. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin salatan tufrihuhu, tus'iduhu, turdihi, wajzihi biha anna ma huwa ahluhu ya arhamar rahimin wa alihi wa sallim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Let's look at today's wisdom, which comes to us from Imam Ma'ruf ibn Mahfuz, Abu Mahfuz Ma'ruf ibn Fayruz al-Karkhi, very famous scholar buried in Iraq, and a real mountain amongst the righteous and the saints of Islam. And we can see one of the ways in which he got to this special place in this wisdom that he's going to teach us today. Now, it might seem straightforward, but it's very, very deep. So he says, إذا أراد الله بعبد خيرا فتح عليه باب العمل وأغلق عليه باب الجدل. When Allah wants good for a servant, He opens for him the doors of good deeds, and He closes for him the doors of arguing. And وإذا أراد الله بعبد شرا أغلق عليه باب العمل وفتح عليه باب الجدل. When Allah wants bad for a servant, He closes the door of works and good deeds, and He opens for him the door of argumentation. This is really significant, because a lot of people who are not scholars, and even some scholars fall into it, right? But just having a constant routine and repertoire of arguing, and whether it's a religious argument or a non-religious argument. So for scholars, religious arguments are important, and that's what many of them are there for, to defend the truth and these sorts of things. Sometimes it's best that they don't spill over into the realm of the layman, because some of these arguments can be really enticing, and especially someone who feels strongly about the truth, they can get sucked into this. But then the ego kind of comes in, and no, I have to be right, and it becomes their identity. We are who we are because we talk about these issues, and we represent this, and then the works stop. So whether it's a religious form or a non-religious, someone who has to be right. Someone whether they say this is green tea, or no, it's not green tea, it's another type of tea actually, and they just start arguing or any point that comes up in a discussion. Someone who has to be right. And so he says, when Allah wants good for someone, He opens the door of deeds, so a person moves away from what he thinks, what his perspective is, what his own sense of self-importance is. Leave that. He leaves it, and he just wants to please Allah, do the works and the deeds that please Allah. And someone who Allah doesn't want good for, He opens the door of argumentation for, and He closes the door of deeds. So the deeds don't matter in this person's eyes. No, I'm defending the truth, or I'm right. So I have a right to say that I'm right. I have a right to debate with this person. So what they'll do, they'll just argue. They'll be at loggerheads. And we've all been in an argument, right? And generally what happens is you argue, you push a point, and then they push back, and then you think, no, I have to be right. And let's face it, everyone's been in this situation where you think, no, I have to be right. You may not say it verbally, but you feel it. And then when, you face the possibility of this person actually, proving you wrong or showing you up, the stubborn attitude comes out, the hawa comes out. All of that is distant from the way of God, right? And Allah wants people, yes, for scholars and scholarship, and it has its place, and there's no doubt about that at all, and it's required in all times. But for someone who hasn't got the required, the prerequisites. And for someone whose main focus should be saving yourself and getting to paradise and saving yourself from the hellfire, and being someone who represents the teaching, the guidance, the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in word, deed and state, to people of this ummah and to non-Muslims, then his focus shouldn't be on winning this argument or winning that argument. And all that does, it just deprives the heart of this opportunity of connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So pretty much a person's deen just becomes us versus them, me versus him, and it's not the right way to be. And for example, I remember, just recalled something like Imam Abu Hanifa. His son used to go and debate people, and he told his son, don't. And he said, why you debate? He said, yeah, well, when we used to debate these people, it's like we'd be almost as though there were birds in our head. We'd be completely still, out of fear that lest the opponent or the other person says something wrong and it takes them out of Islam. And he said, when you people debate, you want them to say something that will take them out of Islam. You almost goad them and bait them into saying that. That's just... So, you want to be close to Allah? Like Dawood al-Ta'i, who we talked about a few days ago, just learn how to zip this and move this and these, right? Actions that please Allah, as opposed to words that just please, yourself, right? So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the tawfiq to apply these beautiful lessons and to benefit from this guidance. Ameen ya Rabb. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.
La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah.